So XRP BTC looking good. XRP, this is looking good as well. So we did just sweep this high, and then we got a little retracement last week. So we literally just hit, let's go to the 4 hour time frame. So last week we literally hit this demand zone over here. Then now we're just building here. So it's literally building a nice little range here. It's accumulating here. This is literally just broke the all-time high and now it's creating demand zones. And I've said this in the past, if the market creates demand zones on the way higher, it's just a lot of people do not know this. The market creates demand zones on the way to the upside. And that's how it confuses people. They think a big retracement is coming, and in reality, it's literally building a buying area right there, and people are selling into it, and those sellers are providing the liquidity for the overall next move that comes to the upside. Simple as that. So the market, the algorithm is very tricky if you don't know how to read the algorithm. But once you know what the algorithm is doing, you're able to adapt and execute and just, ride the wave. So from this specific move we got from this low to this high right here, XRP on this overall push, we got target one over here at $4.15, target two at $5.37, and then extended target one at $8.93. So I do believe that, and this would also line up with this overall target, which we've had here for a while, this $8 to $10 target. So I do believe we are headed in quarter three. It is possible that we head between $5 to $10. Um, I would love to see higher, but I do believe we're gonna hit these areas and then probably cool down. We're not gonna just hit them and dump, it's just that's crazy. Like people are insane. We're gonna hit them. We're probably gonna get a retracement. Yeah, we'll probably hit, let's say we hit 10, and we'll probably come back down to like five. Very, very possible. Especially with these fib levels, the market loves to, hit these areas specifically. So we'll probably hit, 8 to 10, come back down to like five and then start building more demand zones here. And it's just gonna probably do something like this and then push to the next one. Or it doesn't do this. It just literally builds up one quickly. This is one thing you just can't predict beforehand. Maybe it does something like this. It hits 10, retraces quick, and then just instantly pushes to the next one and then starts building demand zones over here, which is what I would love to see, to be honest, because the higher price target we end up reaching and then cooling down, the better it's gonna be for that next move towards the end of the year. So just for that to make sense, basically, if we hit, let's say we hit like, a good like 7 to $10, and then we retrace quickly, and then we instantly push up towards like 15 to 20, and then we just cool down here until, the end of quarter four, maybe even come back down towards 10 to 12. A lot of people are going to be selling here. They think that it's just going to fall, and that's not how it goes, especially if the overall trend is still bullish. Then maybe it does come back down below 10. Maybe it does something like that. Remember, these are all levels that the market's going to react to, push through it, and may come back down and retest. But this is why it's hard making it to the final round, to the final, to the other side, because then eventually the market is gonna build a base, right? Build a base, and then the big move is gonna come towards those higher prices. And that's when we can probably see, we'll probably do that 33 range that a lot of people believe, and we'll probably hit above that $50 range. And then this would likely be in quarter four or maybe even early quarter one. And then that can be the overall top where the market ends up topping out. So it's not gonna be a straight line to the top. It's gonna be a roller coaster, but this is the hard part, making it through, these little waves. This is the hard part. And most of you already know this because you've been experiencing these waves, and th even this was a little wave as well, so we just gotta be patient and ignore the time on these. I'm just extended out. It would be on a way shorter scale, but yeah, this is what's possible from a technical aspect, and just knowing how the algorithm works. It's gonna take its time. It's gonna sweep lows. It's gonna trick people, but you gotta understand the macro picture. The macro picture is the real key. And this is why, it is still possible we hit between this 50 to $100 range. I'm not saying that's guaranteed, but it is a possibility. And we'll line this up with the XRP BTC. We'll line it up with the overall DXY. We'll line it up with the overall Bitcoin chart, the site, all that, everything, all lined up together just to see that if the data is lining up and if we're within a specific range, it's definitely gonna be time to take chips off the table and to execute. So that's all we're waiting for. And remember, these things don't happen for years or, months. It happens for weeks. So yeah, we'll have weeks. We literally sit back and wait for years and years and years, all to execute within weeks. That's the name of this game. If you go study the past, it's always like that. The most money is made in weeks because that's when you execute. All right, we got syrup. All right, SHX. So SHX, this one as well broke this high. It's funny because we've had this level here for a long time, right? For those of you who've been watching these updates for a minute, look, this 0.027 cents weekly high on Bitroot, partial retracement is likely. The same thing that happened right here. The same thing that happened right here. But look what it ended up doing. We ended up hitting this range right here and then went into this little sideways accumulation period to then continue and now break this level, and I'm not saying we're gonna go into another accumulation period because this is the whole market was in an accumulation period over here. Now it's a little bit different. Things are speeding up a bit, right? So now we should be heading towards where? Where's the next target? This was the first target, right? We retraced, we hit it, we retraced. Second target, right? We hit it, we're retracing a bit. Right now, we're only retesting this zone. So this is definitely not going too low, in my opinion. So the next target, now that the market is speeding up and we're tapping into this final phase pretty soon, next target is 5 cents. So we'll likely break this SHX all-time high within the next couple of months, hopefully weeks. I don't control time, but hopefully weeks. We break this, and then we're gonna retrace again, right? That's gonna be the all-time high. We're gonna cool down the same way syrup is cooling down right now, right? We break that all-time high, and then we can head into price discovery. And that's when we can see these massive prices over here. And this came pretty quick. I was happy to see this type of momentum finally pick back up on SHX because we've been getting all these little candles over here. And then look, we literally just got two big daily candles in 2 days. Boom, boom, swept it. So what can happen here? We could easily get a new all-time high in a matter of a week. Easily. Easily. Let's see how quickly we can start picking up soon. And then we'll probably, like I said, we're gonna break this all-time high and then we're gonna cool down once again. And then after that cool down, we can then head into price discovery. So it takes patience, these things don't happen in one day, one week. These things take time to build up. And those of you who've been here for a while, you've seen me calling this since down here. We rode this up, added more over here, rode it up. The macro is bullish. This chart is mega bullish and it still has a good ways to go. So we just gotta be patient with it, and this is definitely the best performer in my portfolio so far. So the and just floating in profit. So we just gotta be patient and we won't see these prices again. So when you really think about it, there's no point to stress. Or oh, when am I gonna sell? No, just chill. And let's just say, and I'm not saying no, we're not taking profits. You're not taking profits because the goal is to take profit at the end of the day, right? But let's just say you didn't take profits. Let's just say you forgot, right? Let's say you forgot to take profits and the market pushes right to, let's just say like 25, 35 cents. Let's just say like 30 cents, 35 cents. And then it goes into a bear market. Check this out. Let's say it only retraces like 75%, even 80. Look at that. It's still above today's price. This is another thing people do not get. This is why buying at these levels down here is a cheat code. You got to be in before everybody starts realizing, what's going on. This is why 2023, 2024, and even early 2025 were so crucial because you got to stack up at cheap levels before everybody started getting into it. This is why it's so important to know how to read charts and to know what you're doing. It's a hack, So you buy in before and you have patience and you ride it out. And then you take profits. And even if you don't, you're still in profit. You think all these people who bought XRP at these levels, check this out. You think all these people who bought XRP at these levels, people, talk shit. Oh, Brad Garland's house is taking profits. Brad Garland house has had XRP since these levels down here. And look, in a bear market, he's still in massive profit. In a bear market, he's still in massive profit. Once the market leaves these ranges, it's not coming back. The same way, once we leave these ranges, we're not coming back here. I don't even think we're ever going below $2 again. This level is cemented right here. This $2 range right here is cemented. We grab liquidity and we built a demand zone there. We're not coming back there. And if it does, that would not be good. But yeah, once the market pushes out of here, even XRP, let's say XRP goes to let's say 80 or even let's just say 70, right? All right, Velo, we got so last week we got a little bit of a retracement. I don't know. I saw people like being scared of some higher tokens and circulating supply or something like that. That's all irrelevant. The market, the chart looks good. That's all that matters to me. The chart looks good, and it's I believe they said it's for for economy growth and stuff like that. So that's not even a big deal. They're not selling the tokens, none of that. So, you know, um, the chart is bullish at the end of the day. This is still on its overall trend. Now, if we had not, survived this range right here, or even let's say we instead of pushing up here, we would have like went down here and then that news came out. Yeah, that would have been bad. That would have been bad. If we were like right here, yeah, I would probably definitely de-risk out of Velo if the price was not over here. If it was like over here. If we had never turned from this specific zone, that would have been concerning. So, this literally did exactly what it did over here. Hit the demand zone and continued higher. Hit the demand zone, continued higher. So this is still on its overall bullish trend. Now, remember how I mentioned we should hit this white zone and experience some turbulence? Well, what happened? I think it's funny how that specific narrative came out right when we hit that, right when we hit that zone, right? So we literally hit that zone, right? That white zone, got a little bit of turbulence and retested this big zone right here. And now we're continuing back to the upside. I actually added a bit more velo here just because it was pretty obvious. And then also real quick, if you take a look at this specific zone, so let's just make this a white zone as well, just so you could see. Look how price, the same demand zone similar to here. Demand zone pushed into the white zone, hit it, and retraced a bit, and then continued higher. Retraced a bit, continued higher, and then pushed through it. Well, what's going on over here? We hit the zone. We retraced a bit. We're going to continue a bit higher. We'll probably retrace a bit again, and we're going to continue higher and push through the zone. This is just literally simple price action. They're going to trap a lot of bears here. So you got to know the macro trend. You got to know what type of trend you're in. And then last but not least, if we just add a bit of volume behind this overall move, the buying volume is still pointing to the upside. As you can see, the red line right here, this node is the sign of the most buying volume within this overall range. And as you can see, most of the buying volume literally was right here around 0.013 a couple of weeks ago. And then we got the push out of there. So this is just pointing to the upside. There's nothing bearish about this chart. We're continuing to these higher levels, and we'll probably hit this 4 to 5 cent range and cool down once again. That is a possibility. So, I'm just staying on top of it, paying attention to every little detail, but overall, this is still looking good.